What's going on, guys? My name is Renegade. Today we're here to talk about the top 5 ways that beginners can improve. These tips will be very basic for some, and so if you're experienced, then you'll probably already know these. These tips are specifically applicable in competitive mode, so if you don't play comp, then you probably don't need this. Before we get into the list, if you guys would leave any Overwatch related questions in the comment section down below, that would be much appreciated. Finally, this list is in no particular order. These are just some useful tips that I thought I'd share with you. Coming in at number 5, we have synergize your abilities. In Overwatch, there is a diverse cast of many heroes that fulfill different roles. Each hero has unique abilities, and often these abilities can be comboed with other teammates. I'll give some examples. Let's take Zarya and Hanzo. Zarya's ultimate is called Graviton Surge, and it sucks enemies within an area into a small space where they'll be trapped for a short while. Hanzo's ultimate is called Dragon Strike, and it's pretty much just a dragon that's sent out from an arrow, and it travels infinitely. When enemies touch it, they are damaged heavily, but it's really easy to avoid. So Hanzo's ultimate is often just really useless. But if Hanzo shoots his ultimate into Zarya's Graviton Surge, then instead of Zarya just sort of struggling to damage all of the people that are trapped within it, and everyone on their team, shooting into it but not really killing anyone, Hanzo shoots the arrow into it, and the dragon comes out and literally just kills everything within the Graviton Surge. It's amazing to watch. It often just results in like the entire enemy team dying. It's just incredible. There are heaps of synergies like that with ultimates, but we'll talk about just standard abilities, because that's an ultimate synergy. This is just going to be an ability synergy. Take Mei and Reinhardt. Mei can place an ice wall that takes a decent amount of damage to be destroyed. Mei can actually block off an enemy from their team in like a doorway or like a small space with it. When she does that, she has about 6 seconds to kill the enemy before the wall comes down and they rejoin their team. Reinhardt has a charge ability that can deal about 300 damage to anyone he catches. Mei blocks someone off, Reinhardt charges him, easy peasy, free kill. It's cool synergies like this that make the game incredibly fun to play with friends, and it makes it really important to communicate, so make sure you're always in the team voice chat so you can pull off these synergies. Number 4, time is a resource. No matter which map or mode you're playing, your job is to secure the objective and make sure the enemy team doesn't secure it as well as you did. If you can pull it off, you will win. All game modes have a time limit, whether it's actually displayed or it's implied, and you must treat time like a resource. If you waste time, the enemy will win. It's as simple as that, guys. If you waste time, the enemy will win. Ways you can prevent this from happening is by making sure every single push you try and make, or every defensive, position you take, is as efficient as possible. So when pushing through, make sure you target the right people, you all use focus fire, you communicate while doing so, you just keep every fight to be as the most efficient fight as possible. Don't waste time. Don't sit around poking at the choke or sit around waiting for the enemy team to push onto you. As defenders, you can actually just initiate onto the attackers. It seems weird, but you can actually just initiate onto them. As attackers, you don't have to wait around. There's always a time where people just wait for no reason at all. Just charge straight in. Go in. Use Lucio's speed boost and just go straight in onto them, and the enemy team won't expect it. It's great. It always works out. And if it doesn't, then whatever. You can try again. You didn't waste too much time doing so. Whereas if you wait like a minute and then push, you've wasted all that time and got nothing out of it. So always try and use your time to get something for your own team. My number 3 tip is going to be using the kill feed. The kill feed is essential in knowing what the situation is with the team fight, knowing how the outcome of the next engagement you make is going to go, and it's also really essential in figuring out stuff like, you're attacking on, say, Hanamura, and the enemy team has lost a player. That's really important to keep in mind, because the enemy team on defense, for point A at least, is going to have a tough time getting back to the point before you guys engage next, whereas if your team loses a player, they'll respawn quickly. So you need to keep that sort of thing in mind, and the way you can get that information is by looking at the kill feed. You can also feed the information from the kill feed to your teammates, so you can be like, hey guys, look, we've just lost 3 players, the enemy team's still got 6 up, we need to, regroup, reset, try it again once we've got our teammates back, or something like that. You really need to use that kill feed to get that information. Just recently, they updated the game, and what they added was that they added like icons for abilities in the kill feed, so you can see what abilities were used. There's even stuff down to stuff like, if you use Torbjorn's hammer to kill someone, or if you charge someone with Reinhardt, or if you use a fire strike. And so you can see stuff like hey look, Reinhardt's just used his charge, he doesn't have it on, he's got it on cooldown, or perhaps, Roadhog's used his hook, let's say. Roadhog's used his hook, it's on cooldown, so we can be like, okay, we don't have to be so careful, run straight in, Roadhog's hook is on cooldown, and we can focus him down so he can't hook anyone else. Stuff like that is really important to keep in mind when fighting and playing Overwatch, and it's really important to communicate that to your teammates as well. At number 2, we have stay with your team. It's really important to actually make plays and push and defend and whatever with your team. No matter how bad the play seems, it's always better to do it with your team rather than to, go off and try and, flank with as D.Va or flank as Zarya. There's only really 3 heroes in the game that should be flanking, and that's Reaper, Tracer, and Genji. Winston can flank and Pharah can flank, but mainly those players are better to actually, push with the team and have their value with the team group rather than to go and flank by themselves. You want to put your team in as a beneficial position as possible, and the way you do that is by staying together. So you can use everyone's abilities together, use everyone's ultimates together, and use everyone's just usefulness in general together. If you've got half your team pushing one way and half your team pushing the other way, one half has got the Lucio speed boost and the other one doesn't, then one half has objectively got like an advantage over the other half. So you just want to use all your abilities together, have all the effects of everything happening together, and you'll generally just do better. What this might mean though is, if someone on your team dies and you've got to try and attack, then it's best just to wait for that person to respawn and then try, rather than to try and push with 5 players alive and then lose. In the Overwatch, it's heavily reliant on having as many players as you possibly can in a push. If you've got 5 and the enemy team has got 6, then you really shouldn't engage ever at a disadvantage like that. And finally today, guys, we'll be talking about fulfilling your role. This is probably the most important tip I can give you. I recently taught 2 of my friends to try and play Overwatch competitive, and the one thing I'm noticing between the both of them, they're both trying to play tank roles. One of them's trying to play Reinhardt, one of them's trying to play D.Va, Ryan, and Winston, and both of them 100% of the time are thinking about themselves and making their own plays rather than protecting their teammates and fulfilling their role properly. As a tank in the game, your objective is to try and protect your teammates, and once that is complete, then you can try and attack. This kind of makes it confusing because Roadhog is a tank, but he doesn't really have any abilities that he can use to protect his teammates, and Zarya is a tank, but she's only really got one that she can use to protect her teammates, and then, Winston's kind of hard to protect his teammates, and so, really, it's mainly if you're playing Reinhardt or D.Va, you need to try and protect your teammates as your main focus. But the same goes for playing healers. You need to really be trying to heal your teammates as your main priority, and then use your other abilities as your secondary priority. For example, as Zenyatta, you should always be trying to put an orb on someone that needs it, and then try and get kills. And same with Ana. Ana should probably always be healing 95% of the time, and then 5% of the time, she can do a bit of damage. Use her sleep darts, try and get the grenade on her enemies or whatever. Just try and fulfill your role as best as you possibly can. The only heroes that should be really focusing on kills as their main priority are heroes that don't have abilities that can do other things. So for example, well, that's kind of a vague way of putting it, but basically if you're an offensive hero or a defensive hero or Roadhog, your main objective is to get kills. So offensive hero, defensive hero, or Roadhog, your main objective is to get kills. Any other hero in the game, your main objective should be doing something else. That's going to be it, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, leave any other suggestions for any other top 5s you'd like to see in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.